Ladies and gentlemen, a very good Tuesday to you all, wherever you may be tuning in from. How are all of you doing? We're into the second day of the week, and I hope the hustling and bustling has gone past first gear, that is Monday. What I can say confidently, though, is that we are all surely glad to put 2020 behind us. Phew, what a year, right? Having said that, though, the fight against COVID-19 is still not over, and I do hope that you guys are staying safe and taking care of yourselves no matter the situation in wherever you may be. Keep the faith, we will get through this. Virtual fist bump for you guys, y'all. It's 8:30 p.m. and calm out here in Singapore. Normally, we will get most attendees from within the Lion City for an event like today's webinar, but the proliferation of technology means that we can now reach anyone, anywhere, and this I will prove to you guys in a bit. I know we've got attendees from Asia and beyond, so a very good afternoon to those of you in that particular time zone. But for those of you who are within Southeast Asia or even in Singapore like ourselves, a very good evening to you. My name is Terence Ong and I'm with the National University of Singapore, or NUS for short. I am also your host for today's webinar on the somewhat revamped NUS Master of Computing graduate degree program, which is brought to you by the NUS School of Computing. We have an exciting lineup of speakers and content today, which I promise will blow you away and hopefully blow you towards NUS. Wink, wink. Before we get this show on the road, I would like to give a shout out to all of you who took precious time out of a Tuesday night or lunch break to be here with us. Show us some love and let us know in the comment section where you are tuning in from so that I can give you a shout out. I know we have some friends from as far out in Africa as Liberia, Sierra Leone, Nigeria. Closer to home a little, we have people in France, United Kingdom, in the United States, and also in pretty exotic locations like Yemen, Pakistan, India, and very much closer to Southeast Asia, Thailand, Vietnam, and of course, China. Hello, my name is Hendry. I'm from Indonesia, located West Borneo. Hendry, very good evening to you if you're tuning in from Indonesia. Kizia from Indonesia too, shout out to you. Where are our friends from other places? Nalin from Singapore, hi. Shout out to you, shout out to you, homie. Shout out to you. Well, I guess everybody a little shy right now, but it's okay. I'm pretty sure you guys will warm up as the night goes on. But nonetheless, I'm pretty sure from wherever you're at, you're sending some love to one and all here. The NUS team feels your love and we want to send you some love back. Now, here's what we'll be treating you guys to today. We are kicking things off with the webinar presentations in a bit. Note the plural in presentations. That would then be followed by a Q&A segment where we will answer all your questions under the sun. Well, the sun that covers the NUS Master of Computing program, that is. We will be taking questions submitted only via the Q&A segment later. You can start leaving your questions for the NUS team in the Q&A section from just about now until the end of the night. In fact, as we speak, the NUS Backstage team are already monitoring the section and ready to pluck out questions that we can tackle later. So there is actually no need to wait till the question and answer segment proper to lock your questions in. Essentially, get them in as soon as you think of them. Now, we're getting the ball rolling with Associate Professor Chin Wei Nan, who will be introducing the NUS Master of Computing graduate degree program and its general track. Professor Chin is the Vice Dean of Graduate Studies at the NUS School of Computing and holds a PhD in computing from the Imperial College of Science, Technology, and Medicine in the United Kingdom. He specializes in the research of programming languages and software engineering, and is also an accomplished keynote speaker who has shared his findings and wisdom at many conferences over the years. A few examples to throw out here: the International Conference on Knowledge and System Engineering, the IEEE Conference on Secure Software Integration and Reliability Improvement, as well as the first France-Singapore workshop on formal methods and applications. He was also bestowed the Long Service Medal by the Prime Minister's Office in Singapore at the 2016 National Day Awards. It is my deep pleasure to invite Professor Chin onto the virtual stage now. Professor Chin, please.
Thank you, Terence. Thank you for the introduction. And I'll start off by doing a brief introduction of the school. So I'm the Vice Dean for Graduate Study, looking after the Master's and PhD program. And as you know, the university is NUS, is the oldest university in Singapore, but not that old, about 110 years. And the school itself, we have about 40-year history, and we are one of 17 faculties maybe one of the younger ones, but nevertheless, one that is very dynamic and also one that is growing very quickly, one of the larger ones. And the university, is a leading research-intensive university with many research centers, and I'll highlight some of those that are in our school. A bit of history about our School of Computing. We started off in 1975 as a Department of Computer Science. That's about 40 plus years ago. And then in 1983, it was renamed as Department of Information System and Computer Science. So this is where the two major departments, computer science and information system analytics, the two pillars of the school. And then in 1998, about 20 plus years ago, we became a school, perhaps one of the first school of computing worldwide, one of the first one to come out independently as a school. And I think that was a pretty good decision, because even though there was a dot-com boom and bust at that time, it is a period where we consolidated our program and grow new ones to the extent that we now have 5 programs at the undergraduate level. And then at the master's level, we have 4 specialization. And we recently introduced a new general track, which I will share with you later today. And the staff strength, we have 170 academic staff and teaching staff and 140 research staff. Those are funded by research projects, both research fellow and research assistants, and then also admin staff to support us. And in total, we have 3,000 to 4,000 students. Currently, we take in about 1,000 undergraduate students a year in Singapore, and they are among the best students in Singapore. 1,000 in 5 disciplines: computer science, computer engineering, which is jointly with faculty of engineering, and also information system, and then business analytics. I think business analytics is a program that we started about 6, 7 years ago. I think very forward-looking sort of plan by my colleagues at the information system and analytics department. And that's a very popular program, and also filling a niche in terms of job demand and market demand. And also we have the information security program. So that's at the undergraduate level. And our master's program has been running for 20 plus years now. And we currently take in about 300 students a year in 4 specialization and also 1 general track. One of the most important one of the most important segment of population is really our PhD student. And these are the people we work very closely with in research, in investigation, in cutting edge sort of work, both trying to publish in places of impact, top conferences and journal, and also trying to build systems that are useful, and also hopefully even sometimes they even as a starting point to spin off, which I'll mention later. Our school, we have an advisory committee that is made up of people from industry and government agencies, whom we tap on, for advice and also for consultation. And whenever we have changes in our curriculum or whenever we pursue some direction, we will discuss our plan with the advisory committee. And some of them are even our ex-students. They are successful alumni and then who later on become captains of industry. And I also want to mention that we work with industry at different levels. So one of the levels that we work on is to try and facilitate career recruitment and also internship attachment for our students. So like at the School of Computing, the undergraduate students, they all have to go through internship. So internship is compulsory. And we encourage them to work locally as well as overseas. For that, we actually organize twice yearly career fairs within the school. Of course, the university has its own career fair as well. And this is something that we organize on top, for our faculty. Right now, I think this particular week is a career week. Used to be just a career day, but because of the pandemic, we need to space them out, and therefore we organize it over the entire week. Apart from recruitment, we also work with different partners, different industry. Like we have the NUS Singtel lab that is based in the School of Computing. And then we have various research centers that are funded by either NRF or some of the other agencies. And then we also work with other partners overseas. For example, this particular lab is in collaboration with CNRS in France. And then we have several labs in the cybersecurity space. Later on, one of my colleagues will talk about a mini lecture on computer security. And then we also have, about 2 years ago, we set up a lab in conjunction with Grab, I think, in the AI space. So these labs are funded for research purpose, and they're funded by NRF or industry, and also other agencies like the Ministry of Education. And another level where we are also working with, apart from research, we are also trying to encourage our students, our staff members, our alumni to become entrepreneurs. And these are some of the companies that have been set up by our alumni or our staff members or our students. Just to highlight a couple of them will be like, for example, Visense here was set up by one of our ex-PhD students, in collaboration with his professor. And currently, they I think 2 years ago, they received Series C funding for their company. What's the mission of NUS? What's the mission of the school? Generally, I think there are three folds that we emphasize on. First of all is the quality of education. We want to make sure that we provide good foundation, we provide good breadth to our students, both at the undergraduate and also graduate level. And also we make it convenient for even for people who wanted to do it part-time. We organize the classes in the evening. The other thing that we aim for is really to go for high impact work, high impact research, high impact areas. And this, we are working both with our students and also our PhD students in order to always aim for high quality work, like top conferences and also top journals, and also work of impact, where it matters to people and where it could be well cited. The third sort of objective will be to try and be of service to the country in terms of meeting the manpower needs, infocom needs, and also in terms of impact of our work to the society and also to the economy. So this is what we aim for, generally for the university and also for the school. Therefore, our program is structured in such a way that we would like the bulk of our students to gain the knowledge and to be able to apply to their workplace and also to their career. But we also like to offer opportunities for the stronger student to take up options like dissertation and also semester project, where they can go more deeply in some particular area and where they can also work with our colleagues on research together with their PhD students. So that's sort of our philosophy. And just to highlight, to share some of my wonderful colleagues, like for example, these two young gentlemen, Xiang Hui and also Stephen Halim, they are actually our ex-PhD student, our ex-undergraduate and PhD student who subsequently became our colleague, and they are among the one of our best teachers. For example, Stephen is helping to lead the ACM programming team as well. He himself was a contestant before. And then we have some wonderful colleagues that joined us in the last 2-3 years in the AI area, and they have been awarded NRF fellowships. So these are the younger colleagues of ours. And here is our ex-dean. Quite a number of our faculty, not myself, but my more accomplished faculties are also fellows of society, like fellows of IEEE or fellows of ACM. And I think these are occasions where their success have been celebrated. Some of our professors are the best teachers in the university. Every year, the university give out an annual Outstanding Educator Award, only one. And I think two of my colleagues here, Ben Leong, I don't know whether any of you know him. And then the other one is Xu Yuan Jin, who happened to be currently our deputy head as well. So they won Outstanding Educator Award in the past. Okay. And also here, another colleague of mine who recently won a Best Paper Award in this particular conference, the top conference in parallelism, algorithms, and architecture. So just only last year. I suppose he has to attend it online. And most important, of course, is our students. Our students are successful in terms of winning, not only in their study, but also in participating in competitions like hackathons, and also in getting Best Paper Award, like this particular student, a PhD student of ours, just in this last year, 2020, in the ICES conference. So ICES is the top information system conference in the world, and he won the best paper award there. And here is another student of ours who is very successful. He actually completed his PhD within 3 years, directly from bachelor's. And not only that, he published in several top places. And on top of that, he managed to convert his work into a startup that raised 52 million in funding. So this is a student in the blockchain and also the security space. Just some examples of it. But I think what matters most to us is really our alumni, and we are very happy to see that many of them are successful in industry and also in their career. We have about 20 years history as a faculty, and then 43 years in the computing education space from the time when it was just a Department of Computer Science. So I'm going to just, this is called a brief introduction about the school. And I'm going to cover, there are going to be 3 more segments. One segment about the MCOM general track, which we recently introduced. And then our more established MCOM with specialization that my colleague Kerwei will brief you. And after that, I will have Zheng Kai, who is one of my colleagues in the computer security area. He will give a short lecture about information security, just in case there are those among you who are interested in the information security specialization. Perhaps his talk may inspire you. And this is on the general track that we recently introduced, which we just introduced in January. We have our first intake in January. The program director for that track is Professor Teo Yong Meng, my colleague. He is unfortunately unable to be here today, so I will just highlight the program on his behalf. Why computing? I guess most of you know why computing. I guess is a very important part of our life now, and also it is an area where there is growth potential. And then I would talk about the Manpower survey that IMDA made in 2019, and also the goals of our program. And just briefly mention some of the students in our Pioneer batch that just started just recently. So they just started, they haven't graduated yet. So why computing? Of course, the world is changing, and we are undergoing, the society, all of us are undergoing some sort of transformation, especially in the current pandemic. And also, also the society is changing very quickly, and computing is a driving force for change, right? Both in terms of new product, new services. So that sort of summarize why this will be an area that will stay with us, and also will be one that could make the quickest impact. And if you look at the global technology trend, the IT industry is basically a $5 trillion industry. Of course, a significant part is in the US, and Asia is still, is growing very quickly, but it's still a relatively small pie of the whole industry. Annually, from now for the next 5 years, is projected to grow by 5% compound annual growth rate. And what are the sectors that are important, right? One is software, of course, and then services and infrastructure, and then also business services, and also emerging technologies, new areas like AI, other areas, and also communication is an important part. So all these are the, in terms of the, percentage of the global market. And within Singapore, we also see a similar trend that, if you look at the Infocom sector in Singapore, in 2013, it is a $152 billion industry. And just 3 years ago, on annual 9% compound rate growth, it has currently reached about 40 million. And that was 3 years ago. I think this is figures that we have available. But the Manpower survey in the IMDA is the Information Media Development Authority. So every year they conduct a Manpower survey on the current status. Like, for example, currently there are about 150,000 IT specialists, 89% with tertiary education, and 54% from non-computing disciplines. So even the people trained in computer science and computer is not sufficient to meet the need of the industry. And top people from other disciplines are able also to move into this area, with either self-training or with some bridge training. And the projected demand for IT specialists per year is 16,000 currently. And of course, the supply in terms of graduates from master's program or undergraduate program is probably about 3,000-4,000, I guess, because like our school is the largest one, or the largest one, and we are training about 1,200 students a year at this moment. The latest intake is about 1,200 students in the School of Computing. In terms of the areas, a major part is in IT development. So 45% in IT development, then about 17% in network infrastructure, and then in across a range of emerging areas is the other significant portion. And of course, these are roles that are taken by management, operations, and sales. So the IT specialist really does this part of the pie. The goal of this new track that we introduced this year is basically to try and train top non-computing graduate as competent, infocom talents and also infocom leaders. And what we hope to provide in the program is to allow our graduates to have strong computing fundamentals, and at the same time with deep knowledge in some market-driven technology areas. So first, the fundamentals, and then the some specific areas that they are interested in, deep technical knowledge there. So the curriculum we have designed is as follows. For full-time, we are planning this to be within 1.5 years. And we have a basket of essential modules, and then the advanced elective. And a major part of the program is the capstone training. Capstone training, where we, apart from covering some training and workshops in some areas that are important, we also put the student through a capstone project. And that capstone project, preferably, we would like them to do it by an attachment, a full-time attachment with industry, about 4 months minimum. And but we still provide an option for them to do internal project if they would like to explore research-oriented sort of projects. Okay. So this is the roughly the program structure for this particular general track. And the essential modules we have currently cover 6 areas, and we are in the process of adding 1 or 2 more so that students can choose from this basket of essential modules. And after completing 6 of the modules, the students will earn a graduate certificate. So we have 2 graduate certificates, Foundation 1 and Foundation 2. For the elective, we have a basket of courses in the school, pretty wide range of courses from computing system to cybersecurity to data analytics to robotics to software methodology, fintech, and enterprise IT. And the students can choose, 1 or more modules from these areas. Okay, so it's a free elective. They can concentrate in a particular area, or they can pick up basics in each of these areas. And this is the capstone I was mentioning that will run for over 2 semesters, and that will culminate in a project that the student has to, have to complete. And I think, doing project and doing capstone and working with both, external and internal supervisor is a good way to pick up skills that matter and also that demonstrate your capability in some particular area in a deep way. Okay. And what's the admission pathway we have? We have also, apart from applying directly into the program, we also allow students to apply, especially students who are based in Singapore, to apply through the graduate certificate this one is done on a part-time basis, where they can become a student of the graduate certificate and then completing firstly the essential modules before they embark on the master's program itself. Okay, so this is of course on the admission is on a competitive basis, and also in order to be considered for admission into masters, we will require students to meet this minimum cap requirement. As I said, the duration 1.5 years full-time, and part-time, I think the quickest is about 2.5 years. Generally for master's program, we want our students to finish it within 3 years. So there's a maximum candidature. Occasionally, you can apply to extend beyond that, but this is the expected maximum candidature. For the general track, is a 52 MC program, and this is the tuition fees for the whole program. And then I think next we will have my colleague Kerwei talk about the MCOM with specialization program, and that one is meant more for students who already have a strong computing foundation, so they don't need to go through the essential modules, and they can directly go into the advanced modules. And to complete it, it is 40 MCs. Okay, and I think Kerwei later will say more about the MCOM with specialization program. As part of the pioneer batch of students, we have students both locally and also from abroad, from China and also from India and also from a couple other countries. But locally, these are some of the people who are already working in industry in Singapore that have come on board to join our pioneer batch for this general track. Okay, so just to complete it, this is a program where we hope to provide a systematic pathway to kind of acquire the fundamental computing competency, and also to allow them also to go deeply in some particular area through the elective of their choice. Okay, so I will finish here, and I'll pass over to Kerwei to talk about the MCOM with specialization path.
Thank you once again, Prof. Chin. Now, before I go on, I would like to give a shout out to Sham Pindiproli from Singapore. Sham, I hope I got your name right. Thanks for tuning in from the Lion CD. Also, shout out to Tejas. We are glad to hear you're enjoying the session so far. Now, as what Prof. Chin had mentioned earlier, now our second speaker of the day is Associate Professor Huang Kerwei, who will touch on the specialization tracks of the NUS Master of Computing program. Professor Huang is with the NUS School of Computing's Department of Information Systems and holds a PhD in Information Systems from the Stern School of Business at New York University. His field of specialization and research is the economics of information systems, business analytics, and e-commerce. And he has published scholarly articles in top research journals. Having also received 4 teaching awards while at NUS, Professor Huang is also passionate about stimulating within kids the interest in STEAM, and our STEAM being science, technology, arts, and math. It is my pleasure to invite Professor Huang onto the virtual stage now. Professor Huang, please.
Thank you, Terence. Good evening, everyone. So, I'm Kerwei. I'm the Assistant Dean of School Computing in charge of graduate studies. So today, I hope my presentation can help you understand why you will get technical expertise. So today, to learn computer science or programming is very different from 10 or 20 years ago. Today, we have YouTube, Coursera, and there are a lot of online articles. You can self-study those programming packages. You can easily put together the package to do something easy. You only know how to make it work, the basic level. You cannot, you don't learn the algorithm, you don't know the theory, you don't know why it works. So having a master degree in computer science will help you understand a lot of amazing things, say computer programs IT can do for us. So you learn related theory, algorithm, and more importantly, it's very fast. Technology, IT keeps changing. It's a rapid changing environment, and also there are a lot of innovations say every year. So today's IT industry and the technology is very different from where I was a student 20 years ago. So the important thing is you need to understand why it works. So when there's a new solution, you can find out the new solution to the new problems, to self-study, to write solution to a new problem. And if you are interested in research, academic research, then the training of the MCOM program will provide the long run. To summary, at a high level, the goal of our MCOM program is to provide you a basic overall understanding about the core knowledge in the one of the 4 specializations. I'll explain more later. So student will learn the breadth of that specialization from the required core modules. At the same time, you will have the options to take a wide range of electives to deepen your knowledge in a particular area topic you are interested in. So does it worth it? So a lot of, I think all of students, you take a master degree because you want to find a better job with higher salary, right? That's one, maybe 70% of the students. The other 30% of the students, you want to pursue higher degree. You want to be a researcher in universities or in famous companies, Google, Facebook. So our MCOM program provides you the opportunity to achieve both. So financially, so Singapore, if you are an international student, government is very efficient in planning economic development in the long run. So one vision is to build a smart nation. And in order to build a smart nation, IT is the most important component. So government has put in a lot of resources into talent acquisition, training, and especially in the IT sector. Prof Chin earlier have shown you several statistics. So in short, the IT sector in Singapore, the job market has been keep growing for many years. Every year, the number of IT professionals increased by 5 to 10%. And it will also, we expect it to on the rising trend in the coming years. And the COVID-19 situation even made the IT sector becomes better. The business is even better than the normal times. So we believe in the coming years, the IT sector in Singapore will still growing, and also the labor market will keep growing about 10% of the job positions. And even now, the undergraduate student salary is about 5,500 to 6,000 in Singapore. So the master student, the starting salary probably is more than that. So that's financially, if you are why you should consider the MCOM program. So if you are interested in research, and the NUS has been consistently ranked within top 20 globally in almost all of the ranking, right? There are a lot of ranking. We are ranked within top 10. So that's because we have a large school with about more than 100 computer science professors and 30 plus information systems professors. So the professors, some are very, very famous researchers, and some are very, very passionate, dedicated educators, teachers. Prof Chin have shown you several examples of my colleagues. They are the very popular teachers. So in school computing, we have roughly 40 professors who already have the faculty level teaching award, and we have 20 professors who has won the NUS university level teaching award. And if you win the university level teaching award 3 times, you will be on the honor roll. And so Prof Chin already showed you 2 colleagues who have 2 professors who have won the highest level of the teaching award. All of our professors graduated from very top university all over the world. So the other way to say is any one of the top 10 computer science university, probably at least one or even many of our professors graduated from there, including MIT, Stanford, Harvard, CMU, Berkeley, UIUC, all of the top computer science universities. And in terms of research, if you plan to continue as a PhD student or pursue a research career, then the research output of professor is very important. So almost all of our associate professors and above are the editorial board members of top journals and top conferences. So this shows that that's also the main reason why we are very productive in producing high quality research, and why NUS is always ranked very high globally. So the research area, earlier our famous, very successful research areas include database, multimedia, computational biology, social media, and the digital business, and the e-commerce, digital innovation. Singapore government has put in a lot of grant and resources to encourage NUS to do research in important emerging areas, including cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things for smart nation, data analytics, healthcare analytics, computational social science. So we have several new research centers with a lot of funding to do this kind of to do research in these areas. And we have a large school. Computing is a large school, so we cover all of the important area as a say school. So we in addition to doing the traditional academic research, we also have centers that trying to facilitate translational research. So we can transform our academic research output to help the Singapore's companies and small startups. Say the other evidence of our excellent research output is every year on average there are 3-4 of our professors who can win the best paper award at the top conferences. So here is the list for your reference, and almost all of our chair professors, they are one of the most important researchers in their own area, including say database, computational biology, data mining, programming language, multimedia, and so on. So we also have several professors who are very successful in training students or themselves founded startup. So one good example is Professor Pratik, another assistant dean of school computing. He set up several startups, and one of his startups, Zilika, is a very successful example. So he's an expert. He's a pioneer in doing blockchain research. So he has a startup that can invent new algorithms to accelerate the computation for blockchain applications. So that's one very successful example. And Pro-Chin earlier also give you another, the other very successful example of our spin-off or startup is vSense. It's coming from Professor Chata Sen's group. It's we can use visual search, and the product has been adopted by several famous retailers, including Uniqlo, Rakuten. And at the NUS level, we have an NUS Enterprise, who is an incubation center in some sense. He helps NUS Enterprise host a lot of startups, and at the school computing level, we also have an incubation center. So there are a lot of new startups. So next, probably many of you are very keen to learn is what is the admission procedure or the admission requirement of MCOM specialization, and what is the program structure. So I'll give you a very quick overview, and most of the information, the details are on our website. So later you can go there to check out the details. So in terms of admission requirement, so we don't have how to say, we will judge every one of the applicant in all aspects, and the professor, we will say consider all of the aspects, and so there's no minimum, there's no say like a cutting or filtering rule. So first, the important thing we pay attention to is you have a high GPA from a reputable university. So if you graduate from Singapore or UK universities, that means if you have first class honor from a famous university, then probably you can have less work experience. Okay, so if you have an honors degree in computing, then the chance you get being admitted is quite high. Or if you have an honors degree but not in computing, in related discipline, then we will pay attention to you should have some relevant project experiences from some activities or from your work experience, right? Because if you only have a degree in math or electrical engineering, which is relevant, related, but not directly computing, right? So then we will pay attention to check you should have sufficient background in the basics of computer science. So, and if you don't have an honors degree, then you need to probably have stronger background in your work experience, project experience, and so on. We have 4 specialization. I'll explain a bit more details. So one of the specialization is IS. information systems. So information system specialization is slightly different from the other three: computer science, AI, and security. So for computer science, AI, and security, you should have relevant background. You should have an undergraduate degree or project experience or work experience directly related to these three areas. Otherwise, you need to have something very strong. Okay. If you don't have, you should consider applying MCOM general track or IS. So for the IS specialization, then the requirement on the major is not so restrictive. We also admit students whose major is in business, e-commerce, engineering, economics, statistics, or mathematics. But we will pay more attention to your work experience, similar to the master degrees, MBA degrees from business school. It is better you have longer work experience, in especially the higher ranked work experience in the IT industry or IT job role. So the duration of the MCOM program is 1.5 years for full-time student, 2.5 years for part-time student. The minimum and maximum workload for full-time student, you can take 3 to 5 classes per semester. For part-time student, you are allowed to take 1 to 3 classes per semester. So for the full-time student, if you take 5 classes per semester, it's possible you complete in 1 year. But most of the full-time student will finish the MCOM program in 1.5 years. So we have 4 specialization: computer science, information systems, artificial intelligence, and info security. So Prof. Liang will explain the details about info security later. So for AI and info security, relatively, these two are newer specializations. They are focused area under computer science. So I believe every one of you know computer science. Computer science is very broad. So for AI, that includes, if you are interested in, say, machine learning, data mining, computer vision, natural language processing, robotics, then you can consider AI. But artificial intelligence, this program probably is the most popular, most competitive program at SOC now. So that's another thing you should consider. So for information systems, the target students in the class are a little bit different. So it's somewhere between computer science and business school. So a lot of the classes are teaching the students about project management, system development, and also the business process in the IT industry, innovation in the IT industry, case study in the IT industry. So in other universities, a lot of times this kind of program could be under business school. So our program, IS program, it's an interdisciplinary program. It has some of the the technical component, but a lot of the classes is more managerial type of classes. So that's very different from the traditional computer science classes, which you will do a lot of programming. So a little bit more details about the degree requirement. So the degree requirement is 10 classes for graduation if you don't take any project or dissertation. So for the two traditional one, computer science and IS, the students, you can choose to do master thesis, or you choose a 1 semester. So master thesis is like 1 year thesis, similar to master thesis in other universities. You can choose a 1 semester project, or you can just focus on taking classes. So if you choose the coursework option, you need to take 10 classes for graduation. If you take the project option, you only need 8 classes. If you take the dissertation option, you only need 6 classes. So among the 10 classes, 5 are specialization requirement. So the other 5 are electives. You can choose from any other class from school computing. So if your specialization is information security, then you don't have the option to take classes, only classes. You have to choose between project option or dissertation option. Okay, so if you choose the AI specialization, you can choose coursework options or dissertation option. You cannot choose the project option. Also, when you choose the coursework, the 5 required classes, the arrangement is slightly different. there are several options, 3 modules from the AI core module list. I think you can go to the online to see the details, and the detail rule is slightly more complicated, but roughly speaking, you need to choose 3 out of maybe 5 classes, and there are 2 modules from the AI elective module list. And for the other 5, you are allowed to take any electives from school computing. And if you do the dissertation, the required module will be reduced proportionally. So you only need to take 3 required modules, and the other 3 are electives. So there are also some other rules about how many modules you can take at the 4,000 level, which means the senior undergraduate level. And for all the details, you can find it on our webpage. There are also the details about what are the set of required modules, essential modules you can take to meet the requirement, and what are the detailed list of the electives in each specialization. So the graduation requirement, you need to have at NUS, the cap system, the maximum is 5.0. So you need to maintain the final cap on average is 3.0. So for graduation, we have 2 cohorts per year, 2 intakes per year. That's an important information for you to know. So now we are open the application for the August intake this year. So the deadline is March 15th. So if you cannot make it, then you can also wait 6 months later. There's another round of the application for the January 2022 intake, and the deadline is September 15th. I hope my presentation, although it's short, help you get a better idea about the why you should get a master's degree, why you should choose NUS, and what's the high level structure of our master program. So later we also have a Q&A session to answer several of your questions. Now I turn back to Terence.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Wang. We wrap up today's presentation with Associate Professor Liang Zhenkai, who will give an insight into how a lesson on the Infocom security track of the NUS Master of Computing program would be like. Professor Liang is with the NUS School of Computing's Department of Computer Science and holds a PhD in computer science from Stony Brook University. His research area is in system and software security and security in emerging platforms such as web, mobile, and IoT, or Internet of Things. He has won several awards for his high-impact papers that were published in top security and software engineering conferences. One example is the Best Paper Award at the Web 2.0 Security and Privacy Workshop in 2014. On top of that, Prof. Liang has also actively served on technical committees and editorial boards of top security conferences and journals such as the Usenix Security Symposium, Network and Distributed System Security Symposium, as well as the IEEE Transactions on Dependable and Secure Computing. It is my pleasure now to invite Professor Liang onto the virtual stage. Prof. Liang, please.
Okay, thanks, Terence. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this session. So today I will take about 10 minutes to give you a small bite size of what we do in our teaching in school computing. This one is actually part of the web security curriculum. Actually, I just finished my teaching of the web security. I slice bite size, right? Part of the 10 minutes is like a cram of the web security. Okay, so what do we mean by web security? There are a lot of terms: browser attack, user security, web privacy. So we collect the terms from a lot of security papers. So in this talk, actually, I want to show you our styles, right? How we approach the knowledge. It's not only about the knowledge itself. The typical way, we need to go back to history, understand how everything come to this stage, right? Not only how it works and why it is here. For example, if you go to the web, it actually starts from 1989 when Tim Berners-Lee invented the web, the language, the browser. If you read the news this year, just 2 weeks ago, Tim Berners-Lee want to reinvent the web, right? If you are interested to follow up the news, then the Mosaic browser and HTML 2.0 and Netscape Navigator. 1995, Microsoft bundle the IE browser with Windows. It's a huge market success, but eventually it kills the Netscape Navigator. 1997, HTML 3.2 and Java applet and scripting. This is actually a huge event, right? This is a milestone, changing the browser from a document viewer into a runtime environment. Yeah, later you'll see what's the power and what's the trouble it causes. 1998, Netscape stopped and open source into the Mozilla, and now you see the Firefox. That's the root of the development. Then HTML 4.0 and HTML5 appears in 2008. On the same year, there's another thing, is a signature event in the web history. It's Google Chrome. Google Chrome is significant not only because it's a faster browser, but it's actually adopt a lot of OS design into the browser. When we do security analysis, we not only focus on the attack, actually we focus on more on the design and how to prevent the problems in the next generation. That's Google Chrome browser is actually very interesting topic. If you are interested, you can look at the comic books they release. And later, HTML5 is here. And if you read the news just 1 month ago, exactly 1 month ago, the Adobe Flash is into the history. In the next few minutes, I will tell you a few things about the code injection attack. Very simple concept. In order to discuss attack, maybe I'll tell you the attack I'm discussing is Crosstalk Scripting Xss. You may heard about the term, but in order to understand it fully, we need to go back to the fundamental principle, right? What is the security, basic security? Is actually access control, right? Is the protection in any environment. In the protection, you need to know who want to do what, right? Who can do what? This is the basic principle of access control. So in this process, you need to know who is who, right? Then the principle, the who is the principles. In the web domain, it's actually the websites. How do you understand that? If you think about it, you go to a computer, what's your protection goal? You want to protect user A from accessing file of user B. But in the browser's domain, do you still have the same demand? Actually, no, right? So the demand is when you visit the different websites of using the same browser, right? You want, say, for example, Yahoo and Google, you want to draw a line between this website. Make sure there's no cross-boundary traffic between Yahoo and Google. Naturally, the request for the access control is one website cannot access the resources of another one. The resource include cookies, the pages, and the information. So under this principle, they developed a policy called same origin policy. Basically it says the principle of one principle, right? One website defined by protocol, host, and port. By these three numbers, cannot access information of another website. Then under this assumption, how do you think the attacker can come in, can inject codes? So here I show you very, very simple, very basic example. Let me show you. Let's see the demo. Create some repository, I call it web leaf. Where I call leaf, later I'll tell you. You can start a simple server. Start a web server, and we start a client. We start to view this server. So yeah, I put a few files in, and I have some very simple code to demonstrate the idea of cross-site scripting. For example, let's go to this one. Suppose we are going to have a party. Right? So for every people register for this event, we want to throw in a party. For example, okay, say Michael. The name I use for many years, Michael Tan, the popular last name and the first name. It's simple. Give me a minute. because I use the two different servers. I need to issue PHP request. It doesn't work. I need to go back. Right. I need to submit again. Now success. Right. So we have the micro 10 registered. If you look at the code, you will see this micro 10 is my input, right? And what you can do, what's the meaning of HTML? Hypertext markup language. Right? Remember, it's not a document, it's a language. Under this language, you may think, oh, I want to add some fun stuff, right? Let's say font color. Now it's become red. As a normal people, you think, okay, that's a great feature, right? But as a security, if you have security mentality, that means we send some text as language, as command into your browser. It's get executed. If you extend this thinking into another round, you can add new text, right? Say script. Now you have script executed. Now, if you look at the code, you may get excited, say, oh, there's a script. But think, who is the owner of the script? Me, right? As an input user. And what is the origin under the same origin policy? The origin is this website. Right? So for a security person, once you see this pop-up, there's no excitement. That purely means the code from another origin runs into this web origin. They get all access to everything, including the whole page. You can actually even replace this line using a simple JavaScript. For the sake of time, I don't demonstrate, but the key I want to demonstrate, although this is a very simple pop-up, but from the security point of view, is actually totally breaches the boundary of the protection. I get a similar feeling when I look at a recent model car. They can use the voice control to control the window. It's an interesting functionality, but to me, that's actually break the boundary between the infotainment system and the CAN bus. That's a very strong security problem, right? It's not a direct problem, but I think it's the exact same feeling here. What I want to show is that with this simple knowledge and technologies, you are able to demonstrate the idea and understand the principle. This is how we teach in the class. Today, we only have a few minutes, so we don't go to the full length, but that's one of the style to help you to understand deeper into a concept. Probably you already know the concept cross-site scripting. It contributes to a lot of attacks, and it's still there. And the attacker with the code, right, they can change the DOM and steal the cookies. A lot of things can happen. In the class, we will go slowly with many possibilities and look deeply into the browser to see how we can deal with it. So now it's actually come down to one of the principles we do in teaching. We go for simplicity and we focus on concept because we feel this will go far beyond the knowledge itself. Right? If we can reach the deepest level of the concept using very simple examples, for example, all the code I put there is just a few lines of code. If you can do that, that means we can get a very sharp understanding on the concept. Right? I call it web leaf because it comes from this Buddhist term, a Buddhist article. It's called 一花一世界，一叶一菩提. You want to see the complex concept from very simple things. Interestingly, this concept is actually quite universal, right? In religion, in technology, or even in poems, they have very similar concept. If you can grasp the concept at this level, it lasts very long. It stays in your mind forever. Okay, so that's the style of our teaching and how we want to abstract. Finally, something about the why you should go to the US School of Computing. Then now we are in the age, information age. Right? The information is easily accessible. We have internet, we have books, and we have online resources. And why, with all the information available, right? As you can sit remotely in the Zoom terminal, listen to our lectures. Okay? What's the value of university education? To me, there's a few important concepts. One is we have the typically their knowledge, right? So we learn a lot of knowledge, but the most important thing is how do you approach this knowledge? You look at the symbols, right? You look at the structure, and they are all over the space in the internet, but you need a way to approach it, right? The benefit of us is we offer a structured program to neutral, critical thinking and the deep understanding. So that's the value we added. And through that, you form a deep connection without overloading your brain. In security, the most challenge is actually we are facing a very fast changing landscape. The knowledge, technology will expire very soon. The way we tackle that is actually we focus on the most important concepts. For example, in system security, I teach students using the GDB, the very simple browsers and the debuggers, instead of the very fancy industry ones. But the good idea is if you get things done using this simple debugger or simple code, simple browsers, you can focus on the learning objective instead of the operations, right? You don't need to remember, click this menu or that menu, but you get a concept clear. Right? To me, is something like the old Kung Fu master says in the martial art movies, right? The spirits instead of fist and sword is more important, as we see in this movie, the Crouching Tiger and the Hidden Dragon. So they are actually shows this example, the Kung Fu master Limu Wai try to actually beat the actress using a stick instead of the very sharp sword. You translate back to our knowledge, actually there's a few examples. For example, very interesting principles. One is Yirou Kegang, right? I like the translation saying counter force with agility. When you understand things well, you become very agile. That means given the problem, you have multiple ways to solve it. And our training, you actually get the knowledge connected to get you done this better. And also you can find the constant principles so that you have a peaceful mind in this changing world. Technology changes, but the principle doesn't. In security, the principle we promote is this type of understanding. With a very simple example, I show how system works. Then you know how the attack works because they break the systems. Once you know how attack works, you come with the defense. That's the next generation of problem. It's just a circle goes round and round. Eventually, security to us is a way of thinking rather than some specific knowledge. In the end, we have MOOC, we have a lot of things. To me, the difference is like photography to painting. Before photography, people paint the reality. After that, they purify the painting into expressing the ideas. I think to us, the MOOC and online tools and knowledge serve the same purpose. The online delivery covers the tool and technique aspect, and university education actually covers the reflection into deeper level. So put it together, we believe the mission for university is actually can be summarized by this Chinese term, 静思悟道, right? Means quietly thinking and reflecting on Tao. You need to learn, reflect, and to reach the deepest level of understanding. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Professor Liang. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the segment where you decide what we are going to talk about via the question and answer segment. Now, before I go on, I just want to thank all of you for taking time out of your very busy Tuesday to be with us today. We appreciate your presence here, and we hope the presentations and Q&A segment combined would give you something to bring home and think about. Now, if you have a question for us but haven't asked it yet, don't hold back any longer. fire away in the question and answer section. The NUS team is still monitoring the section for new questions. So if you have asked the question, we'll do our best to answer it. Our three professors are also on hand and on site to answer your queries today. Let's get cracking. Okay, we have the first question of the night. For the part-time master's program, how is the Capstone Project executed or completed with our full-time job commitments?
Sure. Let me answer that. I think, as I mentioned, you have two choices. One will be to do an internal capstone that will be slightly more research oriented with a member of faculty. The other one will be to do it in the company. And if you're already working, you can you can work with your company on a project, an outline of the project, but the project will be supervised with our faculty member. So that's also still possible if, let's say, your company is willing to so-called sponsor industry capstone project. So there must be some scope, and then there must be some objective, and then during the semester or during the 4 months period to work towards that objective, and also to finalize it with presentation and also a report at the end of it. Yeah.
Okay, Ken. Thank you, Professor Chin. To our attendees who asked that question earlier, I hope you got what you were looking for. If you haven't, fire your follow-up questions away in the question and answer segment. Now, the next questions that we have for today are all GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, and IELTS test score required, or do applicants just need to submit one of them in their applications?
I think one or more, one or more. If you are coming from a non-English speaking university, then you will need the TOEFL or English score, and also GMAT could help you. But in general, we don't rule out a candidate when some of these documents are missing. If we do need them, we will ask from the candidate again.
Okay, Ken. Thank you, Professor Chin. Well, the next question that we have on screen now, are students allowed to change their majors after the first semester if they don't feel aligned or comfortable in it? If so, if allowed so, will the credits be transferred, or do the students start back at zero?
Change of specialization is allowed, but need to be justified. That request need to be justified. So, for example, maybe your job scope has changed, and you felt that one of the other specialization will fit you better. The other thing will be, we also look into your performance in the classes that have taken. So currently, we will only consider changes at the end of the semester, not at any time, but at the end of the semester. If in the following semester, when you're continuing, if you would like to change your specialization, you can make a request. Just not automatically guaranteed though, because we look into different factors, including class space and how you are performing. Our MCOM program is 40 MCs, out of which about 50% need to be in the specialization. So apart from concentrating on the specialization, you are also free to take other modules that are of interest to you outside of your specialization.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Chin. Can we have the next question, please, NUS team? Do we need to be enrolled in the graduate certificate in computing foundations to be considered for the part-time Masters in Computing program?
You can either enroll on the grad cert first, and then subsequently apply to the Masters. So this is one possible route. The other route is, if you are already quite certain that the Masters is what you want to do, then you can apply to the general track Masters program. I presume the applicant is referring to the general track Masters program. Yeah. So either of the two routes. And if you are part-time, I would suggest for you to go through the GC route. The GC route may be a more gradual route, so that you could, you basically be doing the same thing whether you go through the GC route or Masters of Computing route. and you could evaluate for yourself whether you want to go to the full master's program, or you are quite happy with just completing just the computing foundation. That's also fine.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Chin. To the individual or group of people who ask a question like that, I hope you got your response. If you have a follow-up question, do leave them in the question and answer segment. Now, professors, the next question that we have is on screen. What is the fundamental difference between the Master of Science in Data Science program and as well as the Master of Computing program?
So the MSc in Data Science and Machine Learning is hosted in the Faculty of Science, with the Maths and Statistics department. And then the Computer Science department is a partner of that program. So we offer a number of modules to the students of that MSc in Data Science and Machine Learning. It's also 40 MC. I guess the main difference could be that this is more focused on data science with a coverage of machine learning, whereas the Masters of Computing cover more the computing area more broadly.
Okay, I think that's a good answer, Prof. Chin. Thank you so much. All right, the next question. We're going hard and fast today. I majored in industrial system engineering with 1 year working experience in Shopee as a product manager. All things considered, would I be eligible for the artificial intelligence track of the Master of Computing program?
My advice will be to consider also the computer science specialization, which is broader. Typically for applicants from non-computing, non-directly, ISC is overlapping a bit with, I guess you would have taken some courses, some of our module. I'm not quite sure, because I do have a couple of MSc students who are from ISC. Typically, they are on the computer science track, because I think it's better to be broader first, and then where there's opportunity to go more deeply subsequently. Also, as I said, when you're on the computer science track, you can also take up some of the AI modules.
Okay, Ken. Thanks, Prof. Chin. Next question, please. This applicant will be graduating in May 2022.
Okay.
And,
planning in advance.
yeah. I guess it's good to plan in advance in a climate like this, Prof. Chin. This applicant would like to know when he or she should submit an application, taking into account that the final semester's results will likely be released only in early June.
Okay. I guess we can look at your results so far, in making the decision on whether to admit or not. So I think the earliest you can apply will be for the August 2022 intake, which the closing deadline will be in December. Or if you would like to delay it, you can also apply for the January 2023 intake.
Okay. So the applicant who asked this question, I hope you got your answer there, and I hope to see you in NUS. Now, we are overrunning by a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to end off the question and answer segment with this final question. So for those of you who have got your questions through already, fret not. My colleagues would get in touch with you over the next week or so privately via email. Now, professors, the last question of the night is as such. Are there any math or statistics related modules in the School of Computing? And, with one example being optimization.
Kawei, are you able to answer this? Maybe, like, for example, in DISA, do you have modules that are stats related? I presume you have, right?
Yes. So any method related such as optimization. So statistics, I think we have a lot, and because now data analytics is very popular, and so I don't know what kind of math the student have in mind. So for math, because some of the class like machine learning theories, right? Actually, it has a lot of math, and some of the computer science theoretical classes actually is very close to mathematical class. And for statistics, we have a lot. So, but statistics is also very broad. Some of the statistics are more like regression, and then some of the statistics are more like a lot of AI, data mining, data analytics class. In some sense, actually, they are statistics. So the other thing about optimization, I think we have 1 or 2 classes that's very, very optimization oriented. That will be my response to this question. Yeah.
I guess maybe the applicant is also partly referring to areas like operational research.
Yes, then if he's really interested in operation research, then at NUS we have several other programs. Probably that's fitting better. We have the ISE one, we have the decision science department, and the MSBA has maybe 2 or 3 classes. It's because MSBA program is joint offered by decision science professors. So under MSBA program, I think there are 2 or 3 classes that's about optimization. Yes. In SOC, relatively, we have more computing modules than optimization modules.
I think we also have like some theory or computation module, and also in the optimization space, we are principally looking into optimizing machines or optimizing software. So we have some modules, advanced module like compiler. Maybe not the kind of optimization that you're looking for, but certainly is optimizing code to make them run faster. And I think some of the areas, some of the courses are relying on pretty powerful solvers like constraint solvers, and also solvers for either not just analyzing application but also analyzing software. Like for example, one area that is quite important now is in the so-called SMT area, satisfiability modular theory. So in that area, there are packages that can help analyze, for satisfiability, but you can also use it for optimization functions. So it's related to that sort of process that can be also used for optimizing functions. So once, instead of just saying there is a solution, but also to find the better solution out of that sort of search space. So if you are interested in optimizing in terms of, I don't know, optimizing your portfolio, optimizing your routing, things like that, certainly we have some modules that cover those topics. Also, I mean, across the university, like in the stats department or in the OR department, they have these modules, and I think it may be changing. Currently, we do allow a cross-faculty module, a small number of cross-faculty modules, just that the student have to apply for it, and then it has to be subject to approval to do modules outside of the faculty.
Thank you so much, professors. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of today's webinar. On behalf of the faculty staff leading the NUS Master of Computing Graduate Degree Program, we sincerely hope that you have enjoyed the session and learned something new today. Professors, thank you so much for taking time out of your valuable schedule as well to share your thoughts and wisdom with prospective applicants to the program today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, fret not, as I had mentioned earlier, if your questions were not answered. The NUS team have gotten your questions locked down and would be getting in touch with those of you who posed the question that did not make it to air. If you have a question that's only coming up now, do not worry as well. You can get in touch with us via email at pgc@nus.edu.sg and we will get back to you too. The email address is on your screen right now, and it's really papagolfcharlie@nus.edu.sg. I repeat, it's pgc papagolfcharlie@nus.edu.sg. If you have a question about the Master of Computing Graduate Degree Program as well, get in touch with us via the same email address. That just about does it for me and the NUS team now. Thank you once again for spending some of your Tuesday with us. In the meantime, don't forget to mask up, maintain a safe distance from others while you're out of your home, and don't forget to stay cool and keep your chin up. We will get through this pandemic together. Have a great week, y'all. Goodbye.